Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's read this mail. This is a depressing mail, so we're going to start with that. Um, Dear Perch, are comic books dying? Now, when I say dying, I don't mean they're too woke or they're too SJW or any of the stuff that you normally hear on YouTube. I just mean, are they dying? Ergo. People don't usually use the word ergo. That's cool. Ergo, are comic books a product of a time before smartphones, the internet, streaming, downloads, instant entertainment, and therefore they're just not part of the future? Are comic books the VHS of entertainment? That's the whole mail. Um, okay, you want my opinion, and you're talking to a guy who was a retailer for close to 30 years and still makes some money off of comics. I mean, what's crazy is I still send comics out to people who are quote unquote whales that I have an account for, even though I don't have a retail location at the moment. I still plan to open a comic shop. I think I would like to. I have like a lot of us. I have dreams that I want to contribute to. But the dream in like 1998 or 2008, I'm picking a lot of eights here, is that you have a shop and you've got, the new comics coming in. You're going to figure out what's the latest that's going to happen in Batman, and how are these things going to go, and how do you manage all that? That's not the thrill anymore. The thrill anymore is like, hey, can I open up a shop where we've got this awesome pop culture icon of entertainment here and we can do things with it? That's more where my head's at these days. But anyway, um, somebody will open up a shop. But what's the point of comics? I think is a question. And are comics dying? And the answer is yes. Full stop, yes. Not because they're too gay or they're too woke or they're too whatever they are. It's not because of that. It's because comic books are rapidly self-selecting themselves into a niche product. And it kills me to say it because I don't like it, but there's a lot of things. It's not just comics. Action figures. If you go to Walmart or Target or a place like that, you go down the toy aisle and you go to the quote unquote boys section and you look at the action figures. What you'll find is that a lot of the action figures are playing to or trying to sell to not kids. And trust me, or don't trust me. I want you to go to your local Target when you're doing whatever you're doing and go to the toys. Now, maybe you're like 38 years old, but take a stroll into the toys area and look at the male action figures aisle. In some Targets, that will be one aisle. In some Targets, it will be two aisles, but it won't be more than that. And take a look at the action figures. And I want you to look at them and study them like you're not like a consumer, but like somebody who's trying to kind of assess how the business is going. And if you're diligent, you look at it, you'll notice a bunch of things. Like, for example, Marvel puts out action figures and they kind of do it in two ways. Either they do it in a buy 6 action figures and you can assemble a 7th action figure through the parts that are dumped into the toy boxes. Or it's like, here's some packaging for how the characters looked when it was 1984 and we were doing Secret Wars, and so we have the same kind of blister pack and marketing and all the rest. Well, here's the thing: both of those products are aimed at adults, not kids. The people they're hoping people will recognize the kind of 1980s packaging and buy it out of nostalgia. Well, cool. Well, it's 2024 now, barely. And you're talking about, the people who would be buying that and remember it from when it was in the shelves are people who are in their 40s, at youngest. The people who are going to buy a bunch of Marvel action figures to get the collectible, piece that is going to make another action figure, those are adults. Those aren't kids. Marvel is advertising to adults in their toys. He-Man is advertising to adults. That's why the packaging is nostalgic. The WWE toys are for adults. The DC toys are for adults. The only stuff that's there for kids, and I have 2 children, so I regularly kind of monitor what they like. My younger daughter goes to the quote-unquote girls aisle, and my older daughter goes to the boys aisle. Feel free, you miserable pricks, to make all the jokes you want about, my kids, in that regard. Several of you assholes do, and fuck off if you do. But I can't help but notice that the stuff they're interested in, the stuff that's appealing to them, are action figures based on Roblox or Pokemon toys. That's what's going to appeal to them. In the boys aisle, in the girls aisle, it's like Barbie still goes fairly strong, and so does the various kind of American Girl doll toys and other things. That's what's going strong for girls. And then eventually they grow up a little bit and they meet in the middle and they go to the Lego aisle, and you're either taking the Lego Friends, which are kind of girl-based but still Legos, or you're going for the boy-based that are based on, again, nostalgic properties. Star Wars, Marvel, Jurassic Park, etc. That's what everybody's going for. So when you look at comics, yeah, comics are dying. Or to put it another way, comics are steering as fast as they can to appealing to adults, appealing to people in their 40s. It's why when you see somebody from Marvel or DC saying, we got to get that younger audience, yeah, no shit. But when you see like Heidi McDonald or Rich Johnson or these other dumb assholes come in and go, yeah, the older generation are dying off, you mean people in their 40s. They're dying off. Or, in other words, the only people who are regularly buying your product, because in fairness, that's also who you're marketing to. Marvel and DC, I mean, let's be really brutally honest for a moment. They're not putting out any products that relate to kids. I remember reading an interview with Danny Lore, a Marvel interview with Danny Lore, and Marvel's like, you really know how to write stories that kids will like. And Danny's like, yeah, I always I know how to write for kids. And you're like, you're all full of shit. None of you like Marvel or Danny. Like, if you're gonna try and appeal to kids, boys and girls from 8 years old to 14 years old, which is where a lot of people started buying comics in the 70s and 80s. That was the age group. If you're going to try and go back to that, why the fuck are you hiring Danny Lore? Is Danny Lore she or they? Anyway, I do. By the way, I know a lot of you feel differently. I try and be respectful. I've always been like, if you ask me to call you by a certain pronoun, I'll do my best. But you're gonna have to make it explicit. Like, just tell me what you want. I think Danny's a they. Like, okay, so we'll try it out. Still bugs me, by the way. The fastest way to get acceptance into the non-binary lifestyle is don't make your pronoun a plural. I don't know why it's so fucking hard for people. Like, when you say they means multiple. You know what I mean? Like, they means many. It doesn't mean one. I'm all for it. If you want to create a brand new pronoun that is going to be indicative of non-binary, but only one person, then it'll be way easier for like just make life easier on yourself, you dumbasses. Just like that's going to be easier for everyone. Anyway, Danny Lore does not write stories for kids between 8 and 14. I'm sorry. If you want comics to be successful, you're going to have to appeal to that audience. If you're going to appeal to that audience, you're going to have to figure out what they want and market to it. And, putting out comics with covers that are referencing how toy packages were in the 80s doesn't do the job. So are comics dying? Yes. And when I say dying, I don't mean they're never going to be produced anymore. They will. But to me, if you're producing a comic that is geared at, 38 to 54, and you're selling it in, boutique niche stores, to me, that's death. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't, but it is. To me, that's not a, mainstream business. That's failure. So comics, are they dying? Yeah. Can they be saved? Yeah. And to save them, you don't need to go for non-woke, anti-SJW values or any of that kind of stuff. You need to go for mainstream. And mainstream means something that everybody will enjoy. In particular, the new generation that's picking up your comics, 8 to 12 years old, which Scholastic and, has figured out, but apparently it's impossible for mainstream comics to figure out. That's what you need to do. Anyway, are comics dying? Yes. Slowly. Are they going to go away forever? No. They're still going to be around, but, if you go to Target, there's, you can find an aisle there or a small little place in the store where they're selling Laserdisc. I'm not joking. It's there. Does that mean the Laserdisc business is healthy? No. It's not healthy at all. It exists. Comics will exist. They'll still get published. But if your business is the Laserdisc business, it's not healthy. That's all I got to say about that. Thanks for listening.